First introduced in 1953, the Rolex Submariner unequivocally stands as the most iconic and recognizable watch on the planet, as well as one of the most widely sought after. And while the Submariner's availability has started to improve recently, although still not quite pre-COVID levels, it can still be quite the challenge to get your hands on one, and that's if you can even afford the Sub's more than $9,000 starting price. Admittedly, we're not quite sure there's really a true substitute for an actual Submariner, and if you have your sights set on one, we would encourage you to stay the course and make the investment in the real deal. However, if you romanticize the idea of a Rolex Submariner, but not quite sure if you'll ever be able to pull the trigger at that price point, there are a handful of references that are visually quite similar to the Crown's classic diver, and that offer some solid utility with a much more approachable price tag. So today, we're exploring some of the best affordable Rolex Submariner alternatives out there. Watches that deliver on all fronts while keeping things a little friendlier on the wallet, with a rough price point cutoff of about $1,000. Before we dive in, it should be noted that our wearer has a wrist size of 7 inches. Now let's get into it. Kicking things off, the Casio Duro should come as absolutely no surprise. If you're looking for an ultra-affordable watch option that has a Submariner-esque feel, the Duro is simply hard to beat. It's a watch that we constantly cover, as it's a handsome diver, delivers some pretty unrivaled performance with a price tag well under $100, oftentimes closer to $50 online. And for those that didn't know, the word Duro translates to hard or tough in Spanish, which makes sense considering this watch is widely considered to be the internet's favorite beater watch. The Duro comes equipped with a 44.2mm stainless steel case with a case thickness of 12.1mm and a lug-to-lug measurement of 49.3mm. And while it did wear larger than other watches in this guide, it didn't feel out of place on our wearer's 7-inch wrist, and the curved caseback provided a comfortable wearing experience. The stainless steel case features plenty of high polish paired with beveled satin finish lugs for nice contrast, a rotating unidirectional 120-stop bezel with aluminum insert, screw-down crown, and 200-meter water resistance rating, reinforced by the deep sea marlin found above the 6 o'clock marker on the dial and engraved on the screw-down caseback, make this a great choice for both daily wear and recreational diving. Underneath the super clear hardened mineral glass is a date window at the 3 o'clock position, a mixture of applied round and baton indices paired with an arrow minute and hand hour set, and a sweeping red seconds hand that surprisingly hits every second hash mark on the surrounding rehaut. And thanks to a subtle sunburst detail, the seemingly all-black dial can read slightly gray depending on lighting conditions, and feels heavily inspired by the Rolex Submariner in person. While we found the lume to be plenty bright, like many before us, we do wish the lume itself lasted a bit longer. Powered by Casio's 2784 quartz movement, you can expect reliable timekeeping and a battery life of about 3 years. As we pointed out before, the rubber strap on the MDV 106-1AV does feel a bit cheap and stiff, a problem that's solved with a quick strap swap. And really, we can't complain too much considering the price point. Timex has been on quite the run this past year, with the 1975 revived Enigma, the Expedition GMT Titanium Automatic, and the James Brand-assisted Titanium GMT being just a few of our favorites. And they've shown no signs of slowing down with October's release of the Timex Deepwater Reef 200 Titanium. While it's a bit too early to tell, the watch is already being billed as not only Timex's best dive watch, but perhaps one of the best dive watches under $500, period. Measuring 41mm across with a case thickness of 13mm and a lug-to-lug measurement of 47.5mm, the Timex Deepwater Reef 200 Titanium is on the slightly larger end, but the ultra-comfortable rubber strap had it feeling perfectly sized for our wearer's 7-inch wrist. Timex has been exploring titanium quite a bit in recent releases, and we're certainly here for it. For this Deepwater Reef 200, the entire watch is constructed from grade 2 brushed titanium, from the case right down to the details like the bezel insert and the chunky Timex stamped buckle construction. Equipped with 200 meters of water resistance, a large screw-down crown with a red rotational directional arrow, and a screw-down caseback adorned with a wave-like motif further reinforced the diving DNA of this timepiece. Housing a clean black dial underneath a scratch-resistant sapphire crystal with AR coating, the Deepwater Reef 200 Titanium features a nice Submariner nod that's sure to be polarizing with the Cyclops date window at the 3 o'clock position. One of the most impressive features with this offering was Timex's use of lume. The entire watch is awash with Swiss Super Luminova that grows a beautiful minty green. including the loomed bezel, solid blocks of lume used on the hour marker indices, and the loomed skeletonized baton handset, the latter of which we were admittedly a bit disappointed. The Timex Deepwater Reef 200 titanium runs on the dependable Miyota 8215 automatic movement with 21 joules and offers a reliable 42-hour power reserve. And while the embossed rubber strap with slip-through sport closure looked really clean without the use of strap keepers and provided a comfortable wear on our wrists, similar to that of the Apple Watch Sport Band, we found it to be slightly difficult to put on with the strap catching in our skin. With that being said, Timex makes swapping out the strap a breeze thanks to the integrated quick-release mechanism and popular 22mm lug width. Founded by a husband and wife duo, New York-based Laurier is a relatively young watch brand that's made a big impact on the scene with its vintage-inspired designs and emphasis on quality without breaking the bank. The Laurier Neptune has quickly earned a cult following among watch enthusiasts, and for good reason. It channels the spirit of mid-century dive watches like the Rolex Submariner, offering a compelling alternative that's high on charm and value. The Laurier Neptune Series 4 is equipped with a 316L stainless steel case with a diameter of 39mm, 10.3mm thickness, and a shortened 46mm lug-to-lug, making this one of the best wearing watches on this guide. The mostly brushed steel case is contrasted nicely by polished beveled edges, and an oversized, deeply knurled screw-down crown provides great ergonomics while adjusting the time. Paired with a screw-down case back, the Neptune is a formidable diver with a water resistance rated at 200 meters. We can't understate how beautifully vintage this watch feels in person, which is not surprising considering the brand designed the flagship model as an ode to the references worn and made famous by mid-century icons from James Bond to Jacques Cousteau. As Laurier puts it, they wanted the design to feel like it came straight out of 1957, and we think they delivered in spades. We also appreciate the fact that Laurier is completely transparent about their inspiration, citing early references of the Omega Seamaster, Blancpain Bathyscaphe, and naturally, the Rolex Submariner is inspiration for the Neptune. The bubbly Hesalite crystal dome is a nod to vintage dive watches, providing a warm, distortion-rich aesthetic, and the bezel is a 120-click unidirectional design that's seen a welcomed luminous acrylic bezel insert update. The dial of the Neptune is clean and straightforward, with bold, easily legible hour markers and large hands, and the gilt details are hard not to love, especially at this price point. The Neptune uses BG29 Superluminova on its hands, markers, and bezel, which was incredibly bright in low light conditions. On the dial, the luminous compound is 3D printed at a thickness of 0.3mm to make it for easy reading even if you are underwater. Powering the Neptune is the 24-joule, no-date Miyota 90S5 automatic movement with a 28,800 bph 41-hour power reserve, a great choice for its smooth sweeping second hands and thinness on the wrist. A 3-link stainless steel bracelet with solid end links and a push-button clasp with 3 micro-adjustment slots round out the vintage-inspired affair. Established in 2015 by 2 Milanese-based industrial designers, Unimatic is a small Italian micro-brand that has mastered the art of blending minimalist, Bauhaus-inspired design with exceptional functionality. While the brand's catalog and collaborations have grown over the years, we're still drawn to the original, Italian-made Modello Uno, the U1 Classic. On the wrist, the U1 Classic feels purposeful. We found the slightly larger lug-to-lug length gives it a commanding presence, but the curved case ensures it hugs the wrist comfortably. The UC1's case measures 41.5mm in diameter with a pretty beefy thickness of 13.6mm and a 49mm lug-to-lug. It does sit a bit high on the wrist, and while we're certainly fans of NATO straps, they also lent itself to feel a bit more top-heavy on the wrist here. Constructed from a solid 316 brushed stainless steel case, each watch features a screw-down crown and caseback with an impressive 300 meters of water resistance. The caseback features a Unimatic Rosa de Venti diagram, an Italian term that translates to compass rose, and is used to display the directions of the winds and cardinal points on a compass or map. Each watch is also individually numbered, and this can be found on the caseback as well. The double-domed, anti-reflective sapphire crystal reveals a matching phantom ladder handset and black reverse lollipop second hand with silver tip, and plenty of superluminova C3 lume found on the hour markers circling the matte black dial. The Italian-made roots are proudly put on display above the 6 o'clock marker. The UC1 features a 120-click monodirectional minimalist blank black bezel with nothing more than a 12 o'clock lume pip. This design is reminiscent of the Blancpain 50 Fathoms 3/8 Bund, a watch that the German military required for its Navy combat divers in 1975 to track the hours of their long dives, not just the minutes. The Unimatic UC1 is powered by Seiko's workhorse NH35A automatic movement tuned to 21,600 beats per hour and a 41-hour power reserve with a hacking second hand. An all-black NATO strap provides the perfect utilitarian finishing touch. After offering up the Tissot Seastar 1000 Powermatic 80 in a 43mm version, along with a 40mm quartz-powered version of the Seastar, Tissot decided it was high time to release the latter, powered by the beloved Powermatic 80 automatic movement. Part of Tissot's well-regarded Seastar collection, the Tissot Seastar 1000 40mm Powermatic 80 hit the scene in May of 2024 to much fanfare. Our first Swiss entry on this guide, the Tissot Seastar 1000 Powermatic 80 diver, measures 40mm in diameter, 12.7mm thickness, and a 46mm lug-to-lug for a fitment that felt very close to perfection on our wearer's 7-inch wrist. Sporting a 316L stainless steel case that employs a beautiful mix of polish and brushed finishing, the Tissot Seastar Powermatic 80 has a 300-meter water resistance, screw-down crown, and a screw-down exhibition caseback, putting the Powermatic 80 movement on display. A sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating protects the dial, while the 120-click mineral bezel ring offers a scratch resistance and premium touch. Speaking of the dial, Tissot applied a textured finish in a graded gray black that's darker on the outside of the dial and gradually transitions to a lighter shade as your eye works inward towards the center of the dial. There's also a mixture of round and baton indices circling the dial, with an arrow marker at the 12 o'clock position and a frame date window at the 6 o'clock. Both the applied indices and sword-shaped handset are generously covered in Swiss superluminova that shine brightly for us in both dark and low-light scenarios. Powering the Tissot Seastar 1000 is Swatch's beloved Powermatic 80 automatic movement, with its claim to fame being its impressive 80-hour power reserve. It also features a 21,600 VPH beat rate. The 3-link oyster-style stainless steel bracelet features high-polished center links and comes complete with a robust diver's extension designed for both durability and comfort, both in and out of the water. The Certina DS Action Diver 43mm Powermatic 80 and Certina as a whole is one of the more underrated watch brands on the market, at least in our opinion. Certina has a rich history dating all the way back to 1888 when brothers Adolf and Alfred Kurth founded the company, then known as Grana, in the Swiss town of Grenchen. Fast forward to 1959 when the DS concept was born, an extremely shock-resistant automatic watch with 200 meters of water resistance, and it put the company on the map. The Certina DS Action Diver 43mm Powermatic 80 features a hefty 43mm titanium case with a 13.1mm case thickness and a 52mm lug-to-lug. The longer lugs had this thing sitting a bit on the larger side, but we'd call it a larger comfortable fit on our wearer's 7-inch wrist. And the titanium construction also felt much lighter during daily wear. With a screw-down crown and caseback sporting the brand's iconic turtle shell symbol, a testament to the watch's robustness and longevity, this watch achieves an ISO 6425 certified 300-meter water resistance. The unidirectional titanium rotating bezel is fitted with a polished black ceramic insert and a loomed pip at the arrow marker to accompany the oversized arrow hands and indices coated in superluminova BGW9 nested under the highly legible AR-treated sapphire crystal. A 60-minute flange track sits just outside the tan-colored hour markers, and the framed date window rests at the 3 o'clock position. Just like the Tissot we just discussed, Certina's DS Action Diver boasts the same Powermatic 80 movement based on the ETA 2824-2, which provides that impressive 80-hour power reserve. A 3-link matte titanium bracelet, complete with diver extension for dive suits and longer sleeves, rounds out the timepiece. Back in 1965, Seiko debuted their first ever dive watch, the 62 Mas, and the rest is history. The Seiko name has since gone on to become synonymous with affordable and capable dive watches, and it even became standard equipment on the Japanese Antarctic research expedition. Inspired by that first ever diver from the Japanese watchmaker, we felt it was only fitting to highlight the Seiko Prospex SPB 143 as an affordable alternative to the Rolex Submariner. Kicking things off with the measurements, the Seiko Prospex SPB 143 features a 40.5mm case with a 13.2mm thickness and a 47.6mm lug-to-lug. And while that's certainly a bit larger than the original diver's 37mm case and the 13mm thickness, it still wears very nicely on our 7-inch wrists. The mostly brushed stainless steel case is finished off with a super hard coating and features polished bevels providing sharp contrast, and the screw-down caseback showcases the Seiko Tsunami logo alongside the 200-meter water resistance rating, which follows ISO standards for scuba diving and is quite the improvement over the original's then impressive 150-meter rating. Meanwhile, the small screw-down crown, devoid of any crown guards, is doing its best 62 Mas impression, and we can definitely appreciate the commitment to its period accuracy. Underneath the AR-coated, dual-curved sapphire crystal resides a clean charcoal dial framed by a black one-way rotating elapsed timing bezel and includes a date calendar at the 3 o'clock and LumaBright lume on both the baton handset and markers. The SPB 143 is powered by Seiko's in-house 6R35 automatic movement, which provides an impressive 70-hour power reserve and 21,600 vibrations per hour. The SPB 143 comes fitted with a 3-link stainless steel bracelet treated with the same super hard coating as the case, a trifold clasp with push-button release, and a secure lock and extender. Most people are aware that Tudor is a subsidiary of Rolex, but the intertwined history of the Tudor and Rolex Submariner namesake is perhaps a bit less known. The very first Tudor dive watch, the reference 7922, was presented in 1954. Released just a year after Rolex unveiled the Submariner reference 6204 in 1953, this Tudor dive watch was originally called the Tudor Oyster Prince Submariner, and from the no-date dials, bold timing bezels, and small crowns with no crown guards, the two divers had a lot in common. With all of that being said, we couldn't assemble a guide to the best Rolex Submariner alternatives without at least mentioning the Tudor Black Bay 54, even if its $4,000 price tag is well beyond our $1,000 cutoff. While you could make the argument for the Black Bay 58, we won't get into the comparisons here. There's plenty of coverage on that topic, and you should definitely choose the model that suits your needs. The Black Bay 54 is spawned from the brand's Heritage Black Bay lineup, which served as Tudor's modern update to the dive watch circa 2012, and is modeled after the aforementioned 7922. It sports a 37mm case, 11.2mm case thickness, and a 46mm lug-to-lug for a fit that keeps a really low profile on the wrist and is quintessentially vintage-inspired, meaning it definitely runs on the smaller side, especially when worn on a 7-inch wrist like we see here. The steel case features a mix of both polished and satin finish, a screw-down crown sans crown guard, staying true to the original, and a screw-down caseback to maintain the 200-meter water resistance. Under the domed sapphire crystal, the Tudor Black Bay 54 houses plenty of superluminova offset with that beautiful gilt printing on the iconic snowflake hands, lollipop second hand, and indices against the matte black dial. This contrast works so well together, creating a seamless, vintage look that we just can't get enough of. The dial's clean design also omits a date window. The rotating, unidirectional 60-click bezel features a luminous pip at the 12 marker and has been pared down to 5-minute intervals on the black aluminum insert. Powered by Tudor's caliber MT5400, this movement is COSC certified, ticks at 4 Hz, and offers an impressive 70-hour power reserve. It's built to fit within the smaller case, making the watch feel more refined without compromising on performance. The 3-link stainless steel bracelet wears incredibly comfortable, and while we understand the debate around the faux rivets, it's never really been something that's bothered us. Your mileage may vary. And Tudor's T-Fit toolless micro adjustments still remains one of our favorite on-the-go adjustment options out there. And there you have it, a look at some of the best alternatives to the Rolex Submariner, each offering incredible style, performance, and craftsmanship at a more accessible price point. Whether you're drawn to the minimalism of the Unimatic UC1 or the vintage-inspired design of the Laurier Neptune, there's always a standout option for every watch enthusiast. These timepieces may not carry the Rolex name, but they certainly deliver on quality and prestige, making them well worth considering for your next everyday dive watch. Let us know which one caught your eye, and if there are any affordable Submariner alternatives we missed in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more watch reviews and insights. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.